The new Masters of the Universe trailer does something the marketing absolutely needed to do at this stage. It stops selling the movie like a simple He Man vs. Skeletor spectacle and starts selling it like a real world. That shift matters more than it sounds. For months, the big question around this movie has not been whether Nicholas Galitzine looks the part as Prince Adam or whether Jared Leto can make Skeletor feel strange enough. The real question has been whether this adaptation could actually bring Eternia to life in a way that feels big, funny, weird, and mythic all at once. And after this latest trailer, I think we finally have a much clearer answer. This is not just a nostalgia play anymore. It is starting to look like a full fantasy world built with enough confidence to let its strangest characters breathe. That is the most encouraging sign so far. Because one of the easiest mistakes a live-action Masters of the Universe movie could make would be shrinking everything down to its most marketable pieces. Give us He Man. Give us Skeletor. Throw in Teela, Evelyn, and Man-at-Arms. Add some action scenes, a few jokes, and hope the audience fills in the rest from memory. That approach might have worked as a quick brand exercise, but it would never have captured why this property has survived for decades. Masters of the Universe is not beloved because of only one hero and one villain. It is beloved because it lives in a universe full of oversized personalities, bizarre visual ideas, toy box creativity, and a tone that only works when the material fully commits to its own glorious absurdity. This new trailer finally feels like a movie doing exactly that, and honestly, that is why the supporting characters may be the most important part of this whole marketing push. Yes, Galitzine's Prince Adam and He Man still have to carry the core myth. Yes, Leto's Skeletor still has to feel like a genuine threat rather than just cosplay with his skull face. But the latest footage wisely moves attention outward. Mekaneck, Ram Man, and Fisto are not treated like background decoration. They are shown as living, active parts of Eternia's ecosystem. That is huge. Once a movie starts trusting characters like that to leave an impression, it tells me the filmmakers are not embarrassed by the source material. They are embracing it. And for Masters of the Universe, that attitude is everything. Mekaneck especially sounds like a perfect example of how to make this world work. A character like that can either feel ridiculous in the wrong hands or instantly lovable in the right ones. The fact that the trailer reportedly turns him to one of the most fun presences in the footage tells me this movie may actually understand the property's secret weapon. Masters of the Universe should not run away from its weirdness. It should weaponize it. The moment you start sanding down characters like Mekaneck in the name of realism, you lose the flavor that makes Eternia special. But if you lean into that strangeness with total conviction, then suddenly what looked silly on paper starts feeling bold, colorful, and unforgettable on screen. That is where Travis Knight seems like such a smart fit for this material. His work has always suggested a filmmaker who understands how to balance sincerity with eccentricity. Paranorman knew how to make supernatural chaos emotionally grounded without flattening its personality. Bumblebee knew how to handle spectacle without losing warmth. And that is exactly the skill set a movie like Masters of the Universe needs. This world has to feel emotionally playable, but it also has to feel like it came from a kid opening the wildest toy line ever made and deciding every single idea deserves to stay. If Knight can hold those two instincts together, then this movie has a real shot at becoming something more than a disposable reboot. The same goes for Chris Butler writing the screenplay. That collaboration matters. Butler's best work has never been about pretending strange material is normal. It is about letting unusual worlds remain unusual while making the emotional entry point feel clear. And that may be the key to why the Thor, Ragnarok comparisons keep popping up. Not because this movie looks like a copy of Ragnarok, but because both projects seem to understand that mythic fantasy can be hilarious, visually loud, and completely sincere at the same time. That tonal mix is difficult to pull off. If the humor gets too self-aware, the mythology collapses. If the mythology gets too stiff, the fun dies. If the movie can really thread that needle, then those comparisons will only help it. What also stands out is how positive the first reactions sound. Obviously, early reactions are not a final verdict. We have all seen movies get praised early and then cool off once full reviews drop. But the specific kind of praise this movie is getting is interesting. People are not just saying it is fun in that empty, vague way studios always hope will be repeated. They are saying it is lively, weird, joyful, and fully aware of the kind of movie it wants to be. That is the right compliment. A movie like Masters of the Universe does not need to apologize for being colorful or ridiculous. It needs to understand how to make the ridiculous feel exhilarating. That is why Scott Menzel's reaction matters too. When someone who grew up with the property says this is everything an 80s kid could have wanted, that means the adaptation is probably hitting the emotional memory of the brand without getting trapped inside pure nostalgia. And that is the ideal outcome. Nostalgia can get people to click on a trailer, but it cannot carry a film by itself. The movie still has to function for people who are meeting these characters for the first time. It has to introduce Eternia not as homework, but as a world worth stepping into right now. Based on the new trailer, I think this film may actually pull that off. And the cast is a big reason why. Galitzine looks increasingly convincing as the emotional center, which matters because Prince Adam cannot just be a delivery system for the transformation into He Man. He has to feel like a real point of entry into the world. Camila Mendes as Tila, Alison Brie as Evelyn, and Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms already give the film enough personality around the edges to make Eternia feel inhabited rather than staged. Elba, in particular, sounds like one of the trailer's strongest assets, and that makes perfect sense. A character like Man-at-Arms needs gravity, but not stiffness. He needs the kind of presence that can sell both battlefield command and affectionate exasperation at the madness around him. Elba can absolutely do that. Then there is Skeletor, who may end up being the real make or break piece. The good news is that the trailer seems to keep presenting him visually theatrical and dramatically dangerous. That is the right combination. Skeletor should never feel small. He should feel like camp, menace, vanity, and mythology all collapsed into one villain. If Leto and the film can really deliver that energy instead of just giving us a hollow image, then He-Man finally has the kind of live-action enemy worthy of the scale this movie is chasing. What excites me most, though, is that this trailer finally makes Masters of the Universe feel like one of the summer's true wild cards. Not because it looks safe. Quite the opposite. It looks like a movie willing to be broad, colorful, strange, and proudly theatrical at a time when a lot of fantasy blockbusters sand themselves down into the same gray, humorless shape.